Welcome back, homies. It's another episode of the Mindful CEO. I'm your what am I? I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with
Co-host.
our
One of the
other
co-hosts.
co-host,
One of the co-hosts. Aaron
Aaron
Hendon. What's up?
Hendon. What's up,
What
man? Did you ever have a nickname growing up?
Henny. There was a pool.
Henny. Oh, I like it.
There was a pool company in on Long Island that had a little mascot. The pool company was Hendon Pools, and their mascot was Henny Hendon. And I
Henny.
became Henny.
I like it. Okay, man. I might have to use that now. Welcome, Henny.
Thank
Well,
you.
kick us off here. I mean, you were keeping me in suspense in the green room,
yeah.
and
In the
so
green room.
now I'm dying to know.
In the green room, with the curtains. Let's see. Oh yeah, we were talking about the meditation I led this morning was free your mind and your ass will follow, which is, might as well be the title of my book, and might as well be, I would love that to be the title of my life. And it's the, it's such a great direction, it's such a great instruction. Free your mind and your ass will follow. That is the purpose of meditation, and it comes from a George Clinton Parliament Funkadelic song. It is the title of it. It's the title of the whole album. Free your mind and your ass will follow. And the second line of that song, the only other line in that song, because the song is just that, and then the kingdom of heaven is within. And
wow.
If there's just not a more Zen fucking statement you could make, there's just not something you could say that's more directed to what Zen points to, what the Eastern mystics, what the Buddha points to, then free your mind and your ass will follow. The kingdom of heaven is within. That's
Enough said.
the whole
Period.
fucking thing. That's the whole
Period.
fucking thing. Period.
End of book. End a one page book.
It's a one-page book. Drop the mic. That is the instruction. That's like the new Lojan slogan. Oh, there's the fucking tie-in.
Nice.
That does feel like, oh my God, I should do a book of lyrical slogans, like the modern Lojan slogans, and that would be one of them. Free your mind and your ass will follow. The kingdom of heaven is within. and then there's just, there's got to be a million lyrics. This is good. This is like one of those things that my mind will.
Yeah, man. The Tao of Henny. The Tao of Henny.
Exactly. I will.
Verse 1, chapter 1, verse 1.
One of those
little
small coffee table books. You see them in those card shops, those spiritual card shops all over the place.
Yeah.
There's a little book. It's got like 40 pages in it, and each one is a different thing. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Right? Oh my God.
That's a good passion project for you. I'm excited to see that.
I think that's my $1 million fucking idea. A deck of cards, one of the cards.
Deck of cards, yep.
You pull out your rock and
coasters,
roll.
Some coasters.
The rock and roll Zen.
Yep.
Right. That's right. That's really good. That's good. Well,
we got into that because we were talking about. I mean, we were saying pausing. I mean, I really liked your conversation before about pausing and like as if stopping, pausing, sitting. Freeing your mind in meditation and solitude is not an action. It's like we're conditioned to think action looks like hustle, grind, send an email, build a landing page. But you're saying sitting, pausing is an action.
Well, I mean, this came from I was at my weekly Vipassana, and they read a poem, and there was something. It was a James Baldwin poem, which I cannot remember because, of course, you and I do no prep for these calls, so there's no chance that we ever come with like the.
As if no prep is not an action in itself. That is an action, Aaron. Come on, man.
Judo, baby.
Come on, man.
That is a fucking judo. Excellent. Love it.
Come on, man.
Like we bring with us what we have, and we dig into the bag that we have. Our life is preparation. So anyway, there was this James Baldwin poem, and it struck me that we speak about action in a particular way, and we don't know we're talking about it in a particular way. We live in a world in which the only thing that produces results is action. Right? If you want some result in the physical universe, action, you need to act on it in the physical universe. That I don't think that's. That's the foundational principle of hustle culture, right? Is that if you're going to get it, you got to grind the fucker. And that's where that conversation leads is I got to grind it out. More activity produces more results. I mean, that's sort of an obvious axiom of that, but we don't look at what activity means, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
John
Yeah.
Wooten has this great quote. John Wooten, the
Yep. UCLA.
UCLA basketball coach,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
never confuse activity with achievement.
Mm-hmm.
That it's super, you know, and we've talked about this too, as much as we talk about Lamborghini leaning, but the hustle culture badge of honor it is to be busy.
Yeah. Right.
You know, the
Right.
madness of check out my schedule, I'm swamped, bro. Like the whole,
Yeah. So busy.
it's so busy, man. I'm so fucking busy. I can bench my, you know, it is sort of like
Yeah.
that, right? I
Right.
could
Right.
bench like 500. Okay, good. And you're busy. So that means you just don't know how to manage your schedule. Good for you.
Uh-huh.
But we glorify that shit and we
Mm-hmm.
don't ever take the time to define activity.
Yeah.
And it strikes me that meditation is activity. Sitting quietly for 10 minutes and not moving while there's no movement. It's a very active process in terms of the intentionality one needs to bring. And I think there's the myth of meditation that goes into that. Like meditation is emptying the mind and ascending or going to another plane or whatever bullshit
Sure. Uh-huh.
falls into that myth. Versus meditation is the opportunity to train your brain to focus on one thing, to slow down the activity. And the benefit of that is not only do you get to train your ability to focus, you get to train your ability, you get to grow the neuronal pathways in your prefrontal cortex that allow you to focus. So it's not just in the moment, not just lifting the weights. We don't lift weights to become good at, you know, we don't lift big iron circles to get good at lifting big iron circles. That's not the purpose of weightlifting. You don't meditate to become a good meditator.
Right. Yeah.
You do that to build the muscles to go do something else. So I don't know, is going to the gym a worthwhile activity? Is resting a worthwhile activity? It brings into question the definition of what's an activity. Then what's the result that we're going to produce out of it?
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
got other
Yeah.
shit to say about that. But.
And I mean, that's, you know, you say results, and that brings in another piece of this equation, which is we get so hyper focused on one kind of result that we're missing sometimes the other results that, right? Like I'm going to build a landing page and a funnel, and I'm going to get to the 2 Comma Club, and that's the result I want. And we get so hyper focused on that result that we forget about like what other results are not getting created because you're so hyper focused. For example, like how is the result going with your family? How's the result going with your own mental health? Yeah, I did a search the other day. I was writing a post and I typed in stats on mental health and entrepreneurship, and it was like 72% of people in entrepreneurship record or state that they have some form of mental, you know, bad mental health, like depression, anxiety, whatever. So we think, oh, I'm going to hyper focus on the result I want, but then we don't think about the result that's getting created called my mental health. So anyway, I'm just saying we're back to that patting ourselves on the back, the badge of honor of how busy I am and how many, you know, how much I can bench. And we're like, yeah, but dude, how's your mental health? Like, how are you feeling about life right now? No, that's not a result I'm interested in. I'm interested in the result called my 2 Comma Club trophy behind me on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. And good. So there's the lack of attention, the lack of creativity, the lack of awareness around the results we're going for,
Yep, that's good.
which a pause would allow you to create.
Yeah, right.
But there's also, at the same time that that's happening, there's a disregard or a lack of awareness for the pathways that are available to achieve the results you want.
Sure.
Like it looks like the only way to get what we want is to put our fucking heads down and grind.
Right.
There's no acknowledgement that, wait, if I sat, it's possible the universe would provide new openings of easier pathways than fucking grinding it out for 14 hours. That there's other pathways that are available to us that we are not looking for, because one, they invalidate our worldview that grind
right,
is where the glory is.
right.
And our grinding keeps our attention from being able to hear where the other pathways are. And I have, you know, my
Yeah.
God, this week has been just one, not this week, this year. I think so. I mean, I go back further, but
Yeah, right.
it's shown up for me massively the last couple of days as the universe has, as I step out, the next stone appears to walk on. Like
Yeah.
it's just right there. There's just confirmation after confirmation after confirmation that every time I take the crayon for a walk, it's like, oh, this is great. And it's likely that I'm sensitive enough to it that I know, okay, like I'm bouncing from that to over here, where the stone is going to be. And I'm not picking up on it consciously, but there have been several conscious things that have happened, like obvious sort of, you know, we talked about, how to live living easefully in a crazy world, right? That confirmation the day before I started living a grateful life in a fucked up world.
Right.
Well, just you know, things like that. So just today, someone else is on a television show, like it just showed up in front of me, and it's, I don't know, I forgot the exact name for it, but it's not living with ease in a crazy world, and it's not living a grateful life in a fucked up world. It's a third option that is the exact same fucking thing. It just couldn't be more clear. The same thing. I was like, hey, Rachel, this is really interesting. You're on you were invited on a TV series that's talking about this. You and I probably should talk. And so we're now hooked up for next week.
Wow.
And
Nice.
and I don't know where that's going to go, but it just like it, you know, when things are showing up, like just this is sort of like,
Yeah.
you know, one of those, this is, I don't want to say it's dumb, but it's a small little thing. I have a client that they're going to be selling their house, and the city has said, okay, sometime this, as the city will do, this is great. If you're in real estate, you'll get just the beauty of this. The city says sometime in the next 18 months, we're going to be digging a trench in your backyard. And it'll take about 30 days. And we promise to return everything to the condition that it was before we dug the trench in your backyard. And then we have to sell the house with that mystery attached to it, right? Sometime in the next 18 months, 30 days, like that whole, and the city offered them $3,500.
Oh, wow. Jeez. Thank you.
Really? You know, and I said off the top of my head, that's going to cost you $50,000 in sale price. Just $50,000. It's got to cost you 50 to 100K in sale price. And then, so I got some evidence about what it would cost and things like that. And he called me and he wanted me to get other anecdotal stories from other agents that have dealt with this. And I put it out on a couple of websites, and I didn't get anything. It's been about a week. And I just texted him that yesterday. I was like, hey, I haven't forgotten about you. I'm still working on it. Right.
Yeah.
And then yesterday morning, I call another agent about a house I'm comping, and he calls me back. And sure enough, he's got not the same issue, but a issue of something's going to happen in the backyard, and the buyers don't know exactly what that is. And they have to use their imagination, and the degree to which they were inhibited to, you know, write offers because of this unknown. It would be easier if the ditch had been dug already. You could sell it for more if there was no mystery attached to it. And I was like, oh, there's my perfect anecdote. This is it. This is the exact thing I've been looking for, that I just told him I was still looking for. And then maybe an hour later it came to me, you know?
Yeah. Right.
And now, can you say that that's a function of that I sit and meditate for 30 minutes a day? I couldn't make that. That's the other thing. Oh, this is good, Chris, because there's we demand our actions produce immediate results. We demand that our actions produce one in, one out, and that we can see the connection between the two.
Right.
And if we can't see the connection between the two, we get fucked up, but we're like, that's not the right action, or we can't do it. And in some ways, I mean, look, I've lived in the world of call outs for 20 years. You know, you do 100 dials, you talk to 10 people, you get 3 leads.
Yeah.
One of those convert. It's like, okay, that's math, and that you got to put the 100 dials in. And if you don't do the 100 dials, you can't expect to get the deal because math. And I think that's 100% valid. I think that's a super reliable way to treat something. And it's not the only, because there's that, and then there's, okay, well, I'm elevating so I think it's just a question of, I'm going to elevate my performance so that 100 turns into 50, and I can talk to 50 people, right? Because I've elevated my mental game. I've elevated my resilience, my ability to listen, my ability, all the things that mindfulness provides. Those things are connected. And then there's also not demanding that the universe show you how it fucking did it.
Right.
You know, like, I don't need to fucking see how that happened. I can just be grateful that it keeps happening.
Yeah.
And there's something in that world too, you know. You should say something, because I talked a lot there.
Well, I mean, the thought that's coming up for me is, I started listening to a podcast called the Telepathy Tapes. And it's a documentary style podcast that follows nonverbal autistic kids they call spellers, kids who have learned how to use stencils or lettering to communicate with language. And there's a way that we tend to relate to nonverbal autistic kids as incompetent. And so we'll talk down to them. We treat them like babies. Because we don't think they have language. But as the spellers are able to start communicating, what's beautiful in this podcast is you hear how smart, intelligent, wise, poetic, and you get like, wow, there's a whole world in there. And so it starts to follow their journey of communicating with their parents, their parent educators, even each other across geographic boundaries telepathically. And so then they start to look at how clinicians, certified professionals won't study telepathy because it's quackery, and you can have your license revoked. Like, you can literally have your license revoked by a board because it doesn't fit into our worldview called materialism. In our sciences, we want to be able to see cause and effect. We want to be able to explain how it happened. And if we can't explain, this is to speak to your point about, like, we want to see us, like, how did the universe do it? And if we can't explain how the universe did it, then it's not valid, or it doesn't work, or whatever. And so I'm seeing this a lot right now in terms of, like, our society really wanting to measure it and understand it. And yet that cuts off this whole thing about free your mind and your ass will follow. Like, if you can free your mind, you start to tap into planes, energy, fields, consciousness, mindfulness, places that science hasn't yet been able to explain. Science is so slow to catch up to what our minds and our energy and what we have access to. So anyway, that's my long, I tried to make that super succinct for you. But
I was way longer than you. So just, I could fucking, I'm out talking you 2-1 today, motherfucker. No, that's good. I think the yet is a really important thing to do, right? So first of all, you know, I think of Ricky Gervais. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, the comedian.
Yeah, comedian and big time, you know, atheist, right? He's constantly going on about being an atheist, and his little rant about it's got several different thoughts about it that are memorable or have been memorialized in reels. But one of them is, look, if you took every book of faith and you threw it out and you started from scratch, you'd wind up with who knows what, right? Another million different cuts at faith. You'd wind up with a whole bunch of different thoughts about it. But if you took all the books of science out and you brought them and you started from scratch, you'd wind up with the exact same findings. that science is the fact that it's repeatable and it's
Yeah.
repeatable by others and that you can demonstrate it is in fact valuable. It's what makes
Yeah.
science right now.
Yep.
So there's that level of repeatability, and that's important in grounding oneself in reality as we know it. And it's also important to get the yetness of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
did gravity exist before
Yeah.
Newton?
Right.
You know,
Right. Right.
of course it did. It just hadn't been, it's not that he discovered gravity.
Yeah.
He was able to think through quantifying how one could replicate the impact of gravity. But gravity itself didn't need discovery. It wasn't
Yeah.
people were floating off the fucking planet before he
Right.
nailed
Right.
it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's things that, and quantum entanglement is something that's just
Yeah.
beginning to emerge as a viable science, and bloodletting was a viable
Yeah. Right.
way
Right.
of getting things accomplished at one time. And
Yeah.
there's everything is evolving. So whether we're going to grant it slow or fast, the evolution of the science, the fact that we can't measure it yet doesn't invalidate the thing, and it doesn't invalidate the attempt to measure it.
Right.
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 So the desire to measure it and connect it, right, is critical to being able to go new. It's one of the ways that people love taking the crayon for a walk. It's one of the things that winds up, allowing us to do this on Zoom, is that people fucking decided to measure all kinds of shit that they weren't measuring before and reproducing things. And what you said, I think, is equally valid, that there's planes and levels and things that are happening that are not measured yet. And the degree of what do we use? Contempt.
Yeah.
Bringing back contempt, baby.
Let's
right?
dip our toe in that. Yeah.
The level of contempt that the quacks have of science and the science have of quacks. And whatever. Sorry, I don't mean to use quacks there, because quacks is inherently derogatory. But so any place that the woo, can we say the woo and have it not be derogatory?
Yeah.
Right?
I like quacks even. I don't think quacks.
Okay, fine.
It's subjective.
Okay, good. But clearly it's derogatory. So any place where, the woo is, contemptuous of science, or where science is contemptuous of the woo, is a problem. It's just going to create, unworkability, and it's not just unneeded. It's a problem. It's detrimental to our growth. We can have both. We can have open mind. We can have curiosity. We can have,
Right.
what is actually happening here, right? And without a demand that it explain itself, or it's not valid, which is what I mean by a demand. I don't need it to explain myself. Explain itself how it keeps happening. And I'm completely satisfied with knowing that the more I can, and this is now, we're going into the woo-woo woods, Esther Hicks time. I have found the more I spend time doing what is exciting to me, the more great shit keeps showing up.
Yeah.
And, this, I was listening to her the other morning, and there was a question, and this was great, because this was my question for a really long time, was, are you saying that you don't need to take any action to get what you want? That's, and you could hear in the asking of the question, you could hear, okay, it's pretty absurd. She has never said that, or they have never said that. And at the same time, if you just, are going to listen and extrapolate on your own, you could hear that.
Yeah.
You could hear that that's what they're saying. And her answer, as always, was like, you can't possibly throw her. I've never, she's never for 1 second hesitated or stumbled to answer the question. What she said is, oh no, he didn't. He said, "Are you saying we don't have to exert any effort to get what we want?"
Yeah.
And she said, not as you think of effort.
Uh-huh.
Because when you are in alignment, the actions you take seem like a delight.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what you're calling effort. It's just the natural thing for you to do. And I was like, that's fucking A right. That's fucking A right.
Uh-huh.
And it's about getting yourself in, that space where you are
Yeah.
connected to what matters. And I know that, my meditation has helped me with that enormously.
Yeah.
Staying connected to what matters to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think that's the part that feels good, where you're um it feels good when the result happens, when the thing I'm in alignment and the next stone showed up and it's
right.
happened and I'm getting results and it's effortless and that feels good. And until I have that experience, I'm trying to calculate and observe and make correlated actions to correlated results. And I'm trying to figure it out to get it. And so I just think there's something to this. If we could trust it, if we could, like Indiana Jones, trusting that the next stone's going to show up, or trusting that if I free my mind and sit in meditation and get to a place that I'm feeling good, if I could trust that as a way that creates conditions for my ass to follow, and not just my ass to follow, but my results to follow, like then it would be easier. There'd be more and more people wanting to explore meditation,
Yeah.
because they'd see it as something viable, not something, that's
Yeah.
undefinable and woo-woo and
Right.
stupid and
And the hard part is you can't get there from here.
right.
You can't meditate in order to get that
Yeah.
result. The moment you put the in order to, you're no longer in the present. You're now. I was listening to a Dharma talk. They give Dharma talks in Boston. A Dharma talk is a talk
Okay.
a Zen priest will, or a teacher will give, discussing some piece of Zen or Buddhist
Nice.
lesson.
Yeah.
In Judaism, it's a midrash, and in Christianity, I suppose it's the sermon. It's a
Yeah. Nice.
conversation about some aspect of the philosophy or the thinking and then bringing it to light. And he tells a story of a student and a teacher, and the student is the teacher wants the student to discover Zen in every moment, in every what he's calling everyday Zen. That there's no
Yeah.
special equipment or timing or event or practice or anything needed to have the opportunity for Zen to show up. That it's life itself presents an endless stream of ongoing opportunities in which one could find enlightenment, oneself, the
Yeah.
connection one has to the universe, however you want to put that. And the student asked, okay, well, in what direction do I go to find this everyday Zen? And the teacher said, well, if you went in the direction to find it, you would be going in the wrong direction.
Nice.
And that points to that paradox that we were just having about meditation, or about even just mindfulness in general. Being in the present moment means abandoned hope. We'll go down that road too, where you're just in this moment for this moment. And this moment is, we think of the present moment as a series of moments.
Right.
There's the present moment, but then there's the past moment and the past moment, and there's a future moment and a future moment and a future. We think about it as a stream of dots.
Right. Right.
When we think of the present moment, we think of it as a dot.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a way of viewing it that it's not a dot, it's all there is. There's nothing but the present moment.
Right.
It's infinite on all sides. There's only this moment.
Mm-hmm.
There's no past moment. What the fuck is that? There's no, what
Yeah.
is the past moment? What does that even mean? That's something you call a memory. In the present moment, you call what you remember the past moment, but it's still the present moment. And there's
Right.
no future because the future is just something in the present you're thinking about going to but it's still just the present moment. There's nothing but the present moment. There are no past moments and future moments. That's all a fucking construct in the present.
Yeah.
And so the stretching one's brain, developing one's brain to be in the only moment that ever existed or ever will exist,
Mm.
connects us to opportunities that we would otherwise miss, that
Mm.
we are unavailable to us if where we are focused is always in something that doesn't exist, the past or the future. Um,
Mm.
which makes business planning super fucking hard. We're going to get back to the CEO part here, right?
Uh-huh.
Like
Well, but
making
yeah,
that
because
connection with, quarterly goals.
I guess you could talk about like it gets twisty in here because there's the, you know, we have calendars with dates and appointments on those calendars, and
We're
those
here every week, same time.
every week, and that's a future appointment out in my and somebody somewhere along the way decided to to come up with measurements for when the sun rises and when it sets and when the seasons start and when they end, and there's something predictable, which to your point about science, there's a way to measure, and that's good. That's not a bad thing, that's a good thing. And
You gotta
yet
know
there's
when to
this other thing.
plant. You got to know when to reap.
Yeah, and so that's a thing that somebody said there's a future, and we can count on it and plan for it. And then there's this other piece that's like, and there is no future. There's only now. There's only now, and sometimes it's hard to reconcile those two thoughts because on one hand, the CEO mind is like, I got KPIs and projections and forecasting, and then the other part is like, but let's just be here in this moment because this is all there is.
Yeah, I think that the issue that resolves itself when you stop pretending those are in conflict with each other.
Hmm, that's
That
good.
that it's going to be one or the other.
Hmm.
That in the present, I'm going to be responsible for the future that I'm creating in the present,
Uh-huh.
but not never giving up the fact that I'm the one who created that.
Hmm.
I put that in the future. When? Now.
Hmm.
But who
Yeah.
did? Me.
Yeah.
When? Now.
Right.
Right? I put that in, but this is my whole thing about time management is bullshit.
Uh-huh.
What do you got something in your calendar you didn't fucking put there?
Uh-huh.
You're not too busy. Every single thing in your calendar, you fucking put in your calendar. You put it there. You could
Uh-huh.
take it out. You're just not responsible for it. I put it there. I said
Yeah.
I'm doing that then. So those things are not in conflict.
Yeah.
That there's an opportunity. They're only in and that the degree to which they are in conflict is the degree to which you lack responsibility for the fact that there's only here and now. And what are you going to do about that? I'm going to put in the future, a million communities. I'm going to put in the future empowering entrepreneurs. I'm going to put in the future, people have discovered their agency in life. And I'm going to have that future that I created now give me who I'm being now. This is
Yeah.
very familiar to us, yes?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very much the work that you and I have been engaged in for 40 years, 30 years,
Yeah.
is freeing people up to be responsible in that particular way,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
nothing ever happened to you. And then all the stuff in the past that you have had happen in the past is subject to what you say about it.
Right.
And that what you say about it is what's giving you your experience in the present.
Hmm. Yeah.
And you could change what you say about it. You don't have to keep saying what you said about it. You just don't. I mean, you could, but you don't have to.
Yeah. 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 Well, which just, I mean, if we brought it back to the beginning, then,
Free your mind.
free your mind.
And you're asked, the kingdom of heaven is within.
Yeah. Right.
That's what I'm saying. The funk does not lie. That's all the whole fucking thing there is to say is that George Clinton has never lied to us. That is the man in my world. So love
The
that guy.
funk does not lie.
Funk
That's
does
good.
not lie. Good. All right. Let's put a pin in it there.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a good place to stop for today. Those of you listening, feel free to like the video. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed to the channel. And if you're listening to this on a podcast directory, leave us a review. Do us a solid. And I mean, it doesn't take much time. Just open the phone, click on the review, and do the review.
Do the thing, damn it.
Do the thing. Aaron, tell people where they can go to learn more about living a grateful life in a fucked up world or whatever else you're working on.
They can go to thegratefulbreath.com and they can get on the wait list, probably get a date for that in about 2 weeks. Oh, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing one just for real estate agents.
Nice.
Coming up, and then one for the general public. Okay.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And those will be different, a different quality, different subject.
Yeah.
Curriculum will be slightly different.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thegratefulbreath.com.
Love that. Yeah. The Grateful Breath. I love that. If you guys are interested in the business church, the project I'm working on, it's a place where spiritual entrepreneurs can have spiritual business conversations. Right now it's in the format of YouTube videos as well as some premium content for subscribers, but go to businesschurch.co if you'd like to learn more about that. And I think that's it, Aaron. Henny. Fabulous. Thanks, Henny. We'll see you next time.
All right, Chris. Love you, man.